Hey everybody, Weem here. Welcome to RimWorld. I am very excited to bring this game to you guys. A number of you have been asking me to check it out for quite a while, and I've kind of peeked in at it here and there, but once I started doing Prison Architect videos, you guys really started pushing this, saying, man, you're really enjoying Prison Architect, you have to check out RimWorld. So I went and looked at it and thought, okay, that looks cool. I then sent an email to Tynan Sylvester, the developer here, and said, you know, hey, I've got a YouTube channel. You guys have been wanting to see a lot of this, so I'd love to show it off to them. And he immediately responded with a link for the game for me and said that he hoped you guys enjoyed it. So that is one reason I'm very excited. The other reason I'm very excited to bring this to you guys is that I've been playing this a bit and I'm really liking it. It's a lot of fun. Now, one of the first things we need to do is get the colony going and decided on our difficulty and everything, so we're going to jump right into that. We've got different difficulty levels here. We've got pretty chill, kind of the standard. We have a tough difficulty. We have the very easy. This is kind of like a build mode, just do what you want. There are things that come up that can present challenges, but nothing too crazy. And then you have random, which it's quite random. I did this one time, and the possibilities here are that you could be faced with stuff that's too hard for you right from the beginning, and that's exactly what happened to me. I played one match of this. I was just getting started, and raiders appeared nearby, and they just took me out. It was a good struggle. I killed some of them, and they killed all but one of my guys. It was down to a one-on-one, and I ended up losing that. So that game lasted all of about 15 minutes. So what I want to do is I want to do something kind of more standard. The very first time I played, I did the easy mode so I could get used to the controls and everything. Then of course I tried the random and died right away. So I've not tried these other guys. So let's see, this is the essence of good storytelling is the perfect progression of intensifying struggle. Okay, so intensifying struggle, I like that, right? We don't want to go through anything too gnarly. I do want to show you this without getting wiped out. So we're going to go with classic, and we're going to go with a medium-sized map. Plenty of room in these maps. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, now that we've got the map size and difficulty out of the way, we do have to select some characters. Now this is pretty fun. You actually get to name these first three, and you'll get more people when you're down in the world, but you actually can't change their names. This is the only time when you can select the name. So we're going to be basically selecting a name. There's a little bit of story stuff here. Some of this doesn't matter. The traits don't do anything just yet, but these kind of descriptions here, the backstory, tell you where they're getting bonuses and basically where those are playing out over here. So you can see research is a little bit high here, and their shooting skill is pretty good, but we can click randomize and kind of get some different numbers in here. Now, one of the things I discovered was I had a character that had a 15 in one skill, but they had other things they couldn't do, so a more balanced approach can help. Let's see, this one is growing mining. Let's see here. Although, that's kind of nice for mining, right? I don't need him to do research. Okay, let's go ahead and go with this one. So this will be our miner. Now, one of the things I wanted to do was I want to incorporate some of your guys' names. And so what I did was I jumped into my channel. It's got a feature in there that shows those of you who've been the most active on the channel as far as liking videos, sharing them, comments, those kind of things. So I went in there and grabbed a few of your names for use here. And one of the first ones we're going to use is Angel, for Angel Costa on the channel, who's been pretty active. So we'll do Angel for this guy. And yeah, pretty interesting. He's got a math talent. Good to know. Okay, so Angel the miner. Let's see, if we've got a miner, I think we've got low mining skill here. That's fine. The research is good. We're going to go ahead and randomize this a bit. Wow, look at that social. So the social is kind of nice because that helps you convince people to stay if you capture them. But again, it's a little bit too high. Let's kind of spread things out. Well, there you go, 7 social. And we have some growing stuff here. Okay, actually, that's pretty good. Boy, yeah, that's 6 cooking medicine. Okay, that's fine. Now we're going to use another name here. And this time around, we're going to use Noxen for Noxen N, who's also been pretty active on the channel. And you'll have to apologize, or I have to apologize. You don't have to apologize. I'll have to apologize for having this be a female character. My assumption is that you are a male, good sir, but that's just how it goes. So, cool. cool, and you appear to be deaf and have a stutter. Alrighty, so there's Noxon, the settler. Now, let's see, we've got Noxon's got some construction, growing, mining, and even has a little bit of social. We have good mining skill from Angel. So, research wouldn't be too bad. Actually, that's pretty good. So we have a fighter here. Even the shooting is okay. But some good research stuff. Actually, I think that's a pretty good choice here. And for this one, we're going to go with Sapphire Cook. So Sapphire will be the name. Sapphire Cook being another person on the channel who's been quite active. So thanks to all three of you, by the way, Angel, Nox, and Sapphire, and as well to all of you guys and gals who are quite active on the channel. I definitely appreciate it. Unfortunately, I only get to do 3, but if we got to name everybody who joins, I would certainly go down the list and do the same, because I just like those kind of things. Anyway, we're all set here. We've got Sapphire, Nox, and Angel set up. Sapphire being the scientist here, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we've got our settlers crash landed here, and you can see they want to get right to work. So one of the first things I want to do is I want to pause the game, and we're going to bring up the overview. And you can see that we can actually assign tasks that these settlers are willing to do, or that we want them to do. Now, one of the cool things here is you have a manual priorities. We can turn this on, and then we can actually give very specific values to these. So we can say, for example, that for Sapphire, growing is a very high priority. And this gets to be a really cool way to do things, but I found that I think it's better when you have more people. I think initially it's not as big of a concern because really everything's a priority and you have a limited number of people to do it with. When you have a big list, you can get very specific and say these 2 people are the miners, and I want them to pretty much only do that unless there's something else come up. The other thing to note here is that the color of the boxes here indicates how well they do these things. So a bright box here with a white line around it. When we mouse over, you can see it's a 6 of 10 skill for Sapphire. And down here for Angel, he's got a 6 of 10 for mining. And the lighter they are, the less good they are at that given task, right? So we have Sapphire here has a 2 of 10 when it comes to being a warden, which is what's used to convince people to stay when you've captured them. So anyway, we won't use that level of prioritizing tasks just yet. We'll kind of leave things, I think, as they are. We can't really research right now, and we don't have anybody captured, so these can be left blank. The doctoring, we'll figure that out if we get hurt, but for now, that's fine. Again, we've got things paused. You can also select these guys and then right-click things that you want them to do and have them choose it as a priority. So right now you can see when I've right-clicked the metal, I can't give him that priority because it's forbidden. So we have resources around the world here that will have X's on them, and we can actually just select these, and down here you'll see F. We can basically say, yes, these are okay to start picking up. Now, my assumption is that this is done because if there's resources way out here, you don't want your guys necessarily just wandering off and not knowing where they're going, so by default they're basically checked off. And then you can turn them on and say these are okay to gather, and then that way people who have hauling will go pick those things up eventually, especially if you set the priority high. So one of the first things we need to do is we've got these little beds they can lay in. This isn't that great. I like to make a shelter, but we also need to get power going, and your main resource is metal up here in the top. Here we've got food above it, and then we've got our money above that, which comes into effect later when we deal with traders. Up at the top right, we'll have different statuses. We've got right now, it says that we need to get some food, so food is a priority as well. So let's go ahead and jump down here, bottom left, and you can see that as I move my mouse around areas, you've got a little description of things. So it tells us that this is soil, the walk speed, it gives us a percentage, and it's telling us that it's dark. And inside of buildings, it will tell you that whether they have a roof or not, things like that. But down here is the architect button, and we've got all the different things we can do. We can order them to gather, haul, clip plants. We can designate areas. We have areas designated for us already as far as dumping and stockpiling. We have structures like walls and floors. We have some buildings, and this is where we're going to get into solar power and batteries. This is where we're going to get our power and the ability to contact trade ships. Security right now is just an auto turret. And for furniture, we have a bed. Right now they have a sleeping spots out here. So we're going to eventually make rooms for them with beds. We have lights and chairs and things like that. And we will need the research bench in order to get to researching. So I'm going to go ahead and start this up and let them just kind of see what they're going to do. So Sapphire is gathering metal, so is Noxon. It looks like Angel is going to do the same thing. Now, that's great. This is metal, so it's laying out here easy to gather. They're going to gather up food. But as you see the dirt here with the specks around the edges, these actually can be mined for more metal. And metal is used to make everything. So it is a very high priority to be gathering that up. So we're going to go ahead and select mine for these kind of outer edges and get them going there. Now it could be they mine into this and there's no metal inside, so doing the edges like this is probably a good way to start. So we'll get them going on that. Now what I want to tell you while they're kind of gathering that metal is a little bit more about the game. So this game right now is single player only. If the multiplayer could come into effect, it could be added to the game. Tynan says if the community bugs him enough about it. So we may want to be doing that. The game is heavily inspired by Firefly, Dune, and Warhammer. So Firefly, it's interesting because this game is really a mix. I think it's even described as, let's see, it's a sci-fi colony sim driven by an intelligent AI storyteller. So it's a sci-fi colony sim. So basically it is sci-fi, you've got some technology, but it is kind of the survival thing, and you start with some basic tools. I mean, we're mining, for example, but we have the ability to do some higher tech stuff. So that combination, you kind of see that in Firefly. I definitely enjoy Firefly and can see the comparison there. So as far as game design, they have a description of the game design inspiration being Dwarf Fortress, FTL, and Prison Architect. Though one of the things I do want to say is that, because I actually read this somewhere, I read that this was built on the Prison Architect engine, which is actually not true. There's no code from Prison Architect here, and in fact there's no art assets being used from Prison Architect. What Ty did do was he wanted to start very simply with the graphics. He wanted it to be very simple to get this stuff out, kind of a prototype out. And so he actually asked permission to use a similar art style as Prison Architect, and those guys said, yeah, go for it. So that's how it is now. He has an artist that's going to come in and do some more with this stuff, but hey, even right now I'm really enjoying this game. Even if the graphics didn't change at all, I'm on board. So anyway, that's why you're going to see the similarity to Prison Architect here. Now, further describing this game, we've got colonists. These colonists, it says, are not professional settlers, so we already know that. We saw that, the different jobs these guys would do, and they don't quite match up. They're not all the same. They have different backgrounds and everything, right? So these guys are survivors from a crashed passenger liner. So they're going to be accountants, homemakers, journalists, cooks, it says, nobles, soldiers, etc. So you're going to have people that just don't want to do things. If I jump into overview, sometimes even this one that's black is just 0. So Angel can research, you just won't be that good at it. You'll actually get people that actually cannot do some of this stuff. You can't even, they won't touch it. So that's something to consider, and I think it's something that's very interesting about the game. So yeah, each character's got their background. Like I said, you're going to acquire more colonists. We'll take in refugees. We're going to capture people. Sometimes other people will crash land here. Some need rescuing. Some are just wandering the planet. So we can kind of decide what to do with them as we run across in those situations. But right now we've got basically these guys wandering around. You can actually select them and see, he's standing. Angel is now walking. Sapphire is walking. So we need to give them some more specific tasks. So let's go down here to Architect. And we're going to go get some solar panels placed because power is pretty important. So let's go ahead and do this here. We'll do another one here. You can see over on the left that's going to cost us 80 metal. And we have 1,300 at this point because we've been mining and gathering it. So let's see. Let's go ahead and do... Actually, let's not do another one. Okay, we're coming back as Angel's finishing up this solar panel. I had a bit of a coughing fit there. Okay, so it is getting dark. These guys are going to want to sleep. In fact, there you go. Noxon's going to rush back here to get some sleep as well. So we do have the solar panels. Now, the solar panels themselves are not going to power anything. We actually need to funnel their power into batteries. So in order to do that, what I want to do is I want to set up a building for those. If you leave things that can be powered like batteries, there's other kind of structures you can have. If you leave those outside, they can actually short circuit in the rain. So it's not a good idea to have them outside. So we're going to go ahead and put a wall here. Basically, I want to make a place to store batteries. And now the batteries are 2x1 spacing, so they take up this much space here. So I can basically get 4 batteries in here. If I do something like this, I can get 4 batteries in here with enough space to kind of walk around in here. So that's cool. I think we'll do it that way. Yeah, so we've got the wall designated. I do need to do floor, so we'll do metal tile. We drag that out. You'll see it's going to cost 12 for metal. And we'll throw a door in, which costs 25. So there you go. Now this is going to be stuff that they get working on in the morning. This is part of the construction. So we'll probably get some of them going with that. Now let me show you around a little bit. We've got a lot of this. It looks like metal here. This looks like metal or stone that we could gather. But this is in fact just rock debris. This actually will get in our way. We've got some other stuff here, slag debris. This stuff actually is not, at least at this point, it's not, you know, harvestable. It just gets in your way. If we had a bunch out here, you know, we may want to pick it up and move it and just kind of clear it out of the way. I don't think it actually obstructs us. It doesn't keep us from putting buildings on there. But what it does do is when our people move through it, it slows them down a lot. So keeping your area clean is a good thing. And that's what this dumping area is for. We can actually make more dumping area, and this is where things will get hauled that can't be used at all. At least not yet. Here we've got the stockpile area. I kind of talked about the areas briefly before, at least showed you where they were to make. This is basically where they're going to haul any kind of good. Anything that they're picking up is going to go there. Now we do have a gun on the ground here. We do want to pick that up so we can choose. Let's see. Who is good at shooting? So we have Angel is 3, Noxon is 3, Sapphire was 5. So we want Sapphire to have the gun. We're going to go ahead and tell him to go equip the pistol. He's going to wander over there. And we've got our building made now. Let's go ahead and pause time. Sapphire's now picked the gun up, and you can see it's set over here. Now, when you want your people to fight, you actually have to select R, or select this button or hit R, and it turns them into basically a soldier. Now, when they're a soldier, you'll see they will not eat, work, or rest. So basically, once you've done that, then you can select enemies and have them go attack. The other guys are not going to attack unless you turn that on. And they will attack with their fists if they don't have any weapons. So anyway, Sapphire now has a gun. He's kind of good to go. He'll continue doing his stuff, but I know that I can count on Sapphire to take out enemies if need be. So while we're paused, let's go ahead and jump in here into our buildings. We're going to grab a battery, rotate it, and batteries cost 50. We do have plenty of metal. That's not where I wanted to make you. And why can't I sell you? Oh, you're not actually made. We have to cancel your order. Alright, so we've got 4 batteries there. Let's go ahead and start time back up. So what's going to happen is the solar panels are going to feed into the batteries, and they have a bar that's going to fill up. Each of them have a bar. And it's that power that we're going to draw from for anything else that we do. Now, of course, we have day-night cycles, so during the night, this yellow bar is actually going to go all the way down to 0 until, you know, all the way down until the sun is down and not be generating any more power, which means the batteries will be depleted, you know, faster because they're not taking anything in. They're just only outputting. So the other thing to think about is that you're going to have periods in this game. There are eclipses. I had a period of, I think it was days, with my power was just gone. I had nothing because the eclipse lasted and I just didn't have enough stored power. So you can see the yellow bars are starting to fill in these batteries, and that's a good thing. So we're going to leave that. We're going to leave some space in here too. In fact, I kind of messed up, come to think of it, because I need, some of these walls will end up needing repair at some point, and they actually can't get in and reach that yet, but I think we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. For now, what I want to do is I want to make a structure for them to sleep in. And one of the reasons I want to do that, if I pause the game here, we click these guys, and our people have needs. So we're going to go to thoughts here, and you can see we've got a loyalty and a happiness meter, and it looks like this is pretty steady for Angel. Noxon, pretty steady. What you'll see is an arrow to the left or right indicating if it's increasing or decreasing. But this thoughts panel is very important because you can see exactly what they're doing. So we have, let's see, Sapphire has new colony optimism, so that's kind of a bonus of 20. He's had a chat, so he's at a bonus of 9. He's sharing a bedroom, though, so that he's losing points there, and he's urgently hungry. So these are really bad. These are bringing him down, and we can kind of click through everybody and see those numbers. Now, as you get into fights and you lose people, that's actually a penalty. Witnessing a death is a big penalty, so don't die. No, we're going to really try not to die. But one of the first things I like to do once we've got the power going is to set up an area for them to kind of sleep in. But we don't have a whole lot of food going on right now, so we're going to kind of switch over to that. We've got an area we can designate. Again, dumping and stockpile are done, but we can designate a growing area. And we're going to set that right up against this, and in fact we have room to do another one between the stockpile and the dump area. So we're going to go ahead and get that started. It looks like Sapphire's probably, yes, he's heading that direction, as is Angel. I'll set him over to the other area. So they're going to go ahead and plan, and as they get food, they're going to gather it and put it in here. And one of the next buildings that's going to be important as far as food goes is the nutrient paste dispenser. And we're going to want to build this indoors once again. And basically this allows our food to be used much more efficiently. Right now if they pick up food, they'll just eat the whole thing as is. But, and I think they actually eat quite a bit of it. But through this unit, you can put some of this in, and it's just more efficient. It outputs this paste, essentially. It's still a negative when they eat it. It's a -8, but I believe it's a -12 or more when they have to eat the raw food. So we want to set that up. We also want to set up a comms console so we can talk with trading stations. So what I generally have done before was put these two together in a building. So let's grab some walls. And let's think about this. We'll probably put this here for... I'm going to go ahead and pause it because I don't want them to necessarily get started on this just yet. So if I did something like that and we look at our building, so we've got the nutrient guy. So here you can see an orange line indicating that that's close enough to draw power, and once it gets too far away, it's not. And we'd want to rotate it something like that. The yellow spot, the yellow circle is where they're going to access this food. Now one of the things I'm realizing is they will sometimes grab food and bring it over to this thing. In fact, they may always do that. I don't quite recall. So this might be something we want closer to that point. So let's go ahead and take that out. And let's see. So something like this might be cool. And if that's the case, then we're going to go ahead and take wall and bring it out to, say, here. And do something like that. One more time, I'm going to pick this up. And see, so I want some room in here too. It's probably gonna put it right about there. And then that means that the comm station, the comms console, is going to be somewhere like that. And that's fine. Now, one of the things I also notice is that the comm console is generally manned by somebody with a high social skill, and that tends to be the case like with a research thing too. Sometimes it's somebody that has good social skill and research skill. So there's a research, let's see, yeah, it's structure, it's a bench, but it's pretty big. So we rotate this around. I kind of like having it in the same area, so we may end up taking some walls here. Let's see. And maybe do a door like this. Try not to use all of our metal here. Okay, and then if we go to building here, so this would be here. And we'd have the comm station here. We would have the bench here. Something like that. Okay, that gives plenty of room to walk through this point. Easy enough to get into the food. I think that works pretty well. I don't necessarily need all of this space for the walls, but we can put a lamp in here, things like that. So what I'm going to actually do is go ahead and cancel these orders of these kind of structures, the bench. I just wanted to see that we had room for all of that. And put the floor in, because otherwise they can't reach to actually build the floor in some of those spaces. So We just want the infrastructure here. Now, as far as power goes, your walls conduct power, so I only need to basically put this guy there, and that will be enough to kind of power the walls, and we can draw the buildings that we put in here. The 2 buildings and the bench will be able to draw power off the wall. So let's go ahead and get started here. We can see everybody's kind of rushing over to get this thing built, which is good. And get this thing started. Now we can speed up time, of course. I've just kind of gone to double speed here and get this thing jamming. We have plenty of metal. That's a good thing. It looks like our food is even okay, so that is very good. Our notification says we do need more meals still, and somebody's starving. Everybody's starving. Why aren't you guys eating? Okay, so it could be that there's, it may be that they actually can't take the food out of this guy. Out of the stockpile. That's entirely possible until we get the, let's pause this. Maybe that we have to have this down. Again, I've only done 2 games of this. One of them, of course, was only 15 minutes. And in both cases, I had this structure up relatively quickly. So this is only something I'm just noticing that we may actually have to have that. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll make somebody, we'll have Sapphire go ahead and get building that right now versus finishing up the walls. Okay, it is pouring down rain. We can zoom in here. See these guys. Noxon is napping. He's not in good shape. I think he's pretty hungry. If we go to needs, yes, he has no food, so that's probably the case with everybody. So we're not in the best of shape, but I think we're going to be okay once we get this structure up, which Sapphire got lazy. Sapphire said, I'm sleeping. I am sleeping. So let's see. Sun's going to come up here a second. There we go. Get on it, man. You guys are starving. Let's see. Can't get Angel in there. Yeah. I don't know that you can actually have more than one person work on a building at a time. I've actually never tried that. Let's speed some time up here. Now, hunger is kind of a big thing, so when it's this important, they've got the red exclamation points, they'll usually stop when they want food. Whatever they're doing, it doesn't matter what you've prioritized, they're going to stop and go do that. So it looks like that's the case. Noxon said, you know what, I'm out. I got to eat. And Angel as well, and it looks like Sapphire's going to do the same thing. Now, they're going to go ahead and take their food and wander off, set it down and eat. There is furniture you can make a table, and they'll actually go to that table and eat, so that prevents them from kind of wandering out a ways. You could put it, you know, right next to it. I think what we'll probably end up doing is once we have a structure for them to sleep in, we'll pick these beds up, and then we'll make an area for them to eat in right here as well, probably enclose it. So this thing is coming right along. We can actually go ahead and get our next building in there. Get the comm station set up here. Our power is building up. You can even see some of the numbers here. You see the roof kind of closed in over the top and made a little dinging sound, so we know that this is actually enclosed. And if we didn't, we could mouse over it, and on the bottom left it says metal roof thin, so we know this is a good enclosed area. Okay, let's get the research guy up. We'll get that bench set up here as they gather food. Now, right now our metal's pretty good. Our food is decent, especially now that we've got the paste machine. Get that food paste going. So we're in pretty good shape. We're going to get this bench going. Now, the bench works a little bit differently than some of these other buildings. These buildings, for example, they're going to walk over and get food as they need it, and we can assign somebody to go use the comm station. Right, we'll get a message that says a trade ship is kind of in our area, and I can select one of these guys. They'll come over, and I can tell them to use the comm station to communicate with them. The research bench is a little bit different. If you have people prioritized to do research, every once in a while they're going to come in here and kind of do that, and they'll do it for kind of different periods of time. And I think a lot of that has to do as well with the priority of this. So if we went in here and manually said that this is a very high priority for Sapphire, then he will go and do research pretty frequently. As you can see right now, though, he's occupied with plants. So that's cool though. Food is a good thing. 153 is not bad, but we can always use more. Now right now I'm kind of hoping that that we get some new people joining the planet, drop down that we can kind of capture. That would be pretty sweet. But in the meantime, we wait. Now, one of the things too, if we're focusing on our status messages up here, we need a research project, so that's probably why Sapphire, probably why he's giving me the finger, like, hey, I have nothing to research, man, get on it. So we're going to go ahead and click research. These are the only things we can research right now. We get a description when we mouse over them. I like the idea of the picks, the pick upgrade, so that we get metal faster, because metal is quite important. This guy helps with the food, so that definitely is a good thing as well. Let's see. And the picks will take longer. In this case, because the metal's pretty good, we had some nearby to gather and I mined some right away. We're going to go ahead and start the research on the food. So we'll see if he gets over to do that. In fact, that may be what he's heading to right now. Yep, he's going to go research for a bit. Very cool. So who's idle? Noxon is idle right now. Doesn't have much to do. So these guys have this stuff planted, and pretty much all of this food just needs to grow now. And they've got nothing else to do, no construction or anything. So let's go ahead and order some mining here. We'll get the rest of that thing dug out. We don't really have anything nearby to haul. We could get them going out and gathering up this food, I suppose. We can just select this, hit F. And let's see, both of them are going to go mine. Let's have Noxon actually head up here to grab this food, though. So there we go. Sapphire got tired of researching. He's going to sleep. And yeah, we are on day 3. Going to be closing in on day 4 in the morning. Things are going pretty well, I would say.